Jellybean Johnson, and you're watching Musicians Reveal with Joe Kelley. What time is it?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I got my buddies in the house, and unfortunately, we are here under difficult circumstances. The love for the gentleman we're going to celebrate tonight, Jellybean Johnson, has been friends with all of us for several years, many years. He is loved by us, and he's loved by people who are watching and listening to this Jellybean Johnson celebration. I'm Joe Kelley of Musicians Reveal. And I got the word on late Friday night from the Electric Man, co-host of the Electric Vibe podcast, J. David Silva, who is here. Late Friday night, he told me about Jellybean, and Electric Vibe podcast co-host Kurt Hoffman is here as well. And we wanted to extend our sympathies and love out to Marty Bragg and Jellybean's family, all his children, his bandmates. You know them all, the Time, the family, the Prince family, the Minneapolis Sound family. Jellybean Johnson was loved and still is loved, and we're here to talk about how much Jellybean meant to us. So, guys, appreciate you guys coming on. How you doing, other than Jellybean?
Yeah, doing good under the circumstances, Joe. Yep.
So, go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, doing fine given the circumstances, but that this is a tough week.
Now, I alluded to the Electric Man. Let me know about Jellybean. Why don't you talk about how you found out about Jellybean, and like most of us have a similar experience, but let us know.
Yeah,
Jay,
yeah.
You want to?
Yeah, I'll take it. Kurt and I actually found out at the same time because our third co-host, our brother in arms, Hucky Austin, had sent us a text on Friday and let us know what happened. And then, of course, immediately we were in contact with each other, and with our brother Eric Rogers as well.
Yes.
And then immediately after that, after I spoke to Eric, Joe, I called you, obviously to let you know what happened, because obviously with our history and with what Jellybean has meant to, quite frankly, all of us, I thought it was the right thing to do.
I guess after we found out, I went downstairs in the basement and made some phone calls to some friends and some texts, and then I was getting texts and phone calls. Michael Holtz, the DJ, who just happened to be at Paisley Park this weekend in celebration of the re-release and celebration of the expanded set of Around the World in the Day, he was the DJ for that, and he called me on the way back home to let me know that he had to announce about 5 minutes before the program there at Paisley Park ended. He had to make that tough announcement to the audience.
Oh, wow.
The crowd.
Yeah, Jellybean, you can tell by the love through all the social media. I mean, my wife, G, who's checking this out as well, she said, every time I put my scroll on in Facebook or Instagram, Jellybean's picture's coming up. So, yeah, everybody just is crushed, and we're going to miss his laugh and all those smiles, and he's a man of the people, that's for sure, definitely. Talk, Jay, about the first time you met Jellybean Johnson.
Sure, and it was a great time back in 2001 because, Joe, thanks to you, you were the one that introduced me to Jellybean and the fellas in Morris Day and the Time. We ended up going to see them at Foxwoods here in Connecticut. And it was kind of surreal because obviously, we had been following the Time and Morris Day for years. And so just getting the opportunity to go to the show and then get backstage. And the thing that always gets me is the minute that we got back at stage, it was just like we had known them forever. And I know that's an overused cliche, but we got backstage, we started laughing, we started joking. There was no holds barred. They were telling stories and saying things in front of us as if we had known them for years. Good stories about other celebrities and times that they had on the road. And the thing that got me was Jellybean's big laugh and his big guffaw when I put out the Color of Success tour program to ask me to
right.
And Jellybean immediately looked at it and started clowning Morris for the hairstyle and the clothes he was
and the
wearing.
little shorty shorts, right?
Right, exactly. And it's, ever since then, it was always the same experience with Jellybean. Just a lot of fun, great to talk to, just gregarious, but always just a gentleman. And it was that day when we first met him up until the last time he and I spoke, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to that night, and I'm not going to mention her name or her band, but the time went on before her, and we actually were backstage, and the time those guys play the instruments, the real music, they're real musicians, but they were looking and hearing, I guess they had a closed circuit TV, and they were saying, oh, that's recorded. That's on that. That's pre-recorded. These guys ain't playing, So
Right.
It was like, I mean, you really appreciate the Minneapolis guys and ladies that have just given us all this great music. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. We have a couple guests I want to bring in right now. We'll come back to us, but I wanted to first welcome to the stage a guy who was there at the beginning of Jellybean's career and worked with Jellybean for many years. Dr. Matt Fink. How you doing, brother? Matt
Hi,
is there.
I'm not getting a
Hey,
good connection to you for some reason.
Okay.
If you can hear me, let's see.
I can
try it
hear
again.
you. Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yep. Hi, Matt.
Yeah. So
Funny
Matt,
thing,
thank you.
I just texted him about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Matt, I'm sorry for your loss about Bean.
Now it's working.
Okay. I'm really sorry
Thank
about
you so
the loss
much.
of Bean.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
just been a rough day for all of us here in the Minneapolis music scene who knew him well.
Yeah. When was the first time you met Jellybean? Because you were there in the infancy of.
Did you hear that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
I hear you
breaking up.
perfectly.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
I was saying when you met Jellybean, those early days when he took over for Morris on the drums and Alex went to vocals. What was your first experience meeting Jellybean?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to go out, if you want to come in and go out, you want to do that?
It seems to be working better now.
Okay. So I was basically asking you when you first met Jellybean. Do you remember that first time?
Barely. I think it's like 40 years ago, but yes, I'm sure I met him, must have been in 1979. And this was even before the Time had been formed. And then I got to know him better once the Time was put together and then their first album was being recorded. And Prince asked me to come in and play on one of the songs. And I met him probably at the session too,
right,
that day. So, but I can't pinpoint the exact day. I'm sorry. I should have had a journal that, and I met Jellybean Johnson today.
That's right. Yeah.
But I wasn't good at keeping journals.
How about, as far as the change with Jellybean, they said, come on, we need a drummer. Alex is no longer the lead singer and Morris is up front. Do you remember the change right there?
Yeah, I remember when all that was going on, but I wasn't too close to the action and wasn't completely, privy to all the machinations that took place to make that happen. But I did, afterwards, I remember speaking to Morris when he was tapped to be the lead singer, and he just was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this," and he was very worried because he'd never been a lead singer or fronted a band. And look at what Prince did to help him to achieve that goal. It's really something else, and gave him the confidence. And it's just really interesting to see how those things evolved back in those days.
You guys want to ask anything to Matt?
Other than how was your walk, Matt? I know you went for a walk earlier.
Yes, we went for a like about 2.5 mile hike actually out in the wilderness. Nearby there's like a nature area a couple miles south of here. So we try to get out there when the weather's nice and get a little exercise, you know.
I certainly did my share of that, as I shared with you when we texted back and forth. And just to clear my head, because, something this obviously a huge loss for those who've known him for decades like yourself, or for 5 years like I have, or Jay and Joe, you've known him for a couple decades. It's still kind of a disbelief and a shock. I can only imagine, because you worked with him recently on this Minneapolis Sound Museum.
I did it. Yeah, I did a gig with him a couple of years ago to shine a spotlight on the Minneapolis Sound Museum, and that took place at the Capri Theater in Minneapolis, which is the debut performance of Prince's first band, which I was in. This was January of 1979 at the Capri Theater, and it just seems like yesterday too. Those memories are still fresh. I mean, I can see it right now. Wow. So, those guys were a big part of my life, obviously. And I just feel so grateful to have known him. And I got to know him a lot better in the last several years because we were playing regularly together. Because in the past, we were in different bands. We knew each other. We palled around a bit and joked around. We'd see each other out at night and all that, and the music scene. But really, since I came on to work with the Minneapolis Funk All Stars with Paul Peterson, that's when I grew much closer to him. And this is really quite a blow. It was just so sudden. So,
yeah. Hey, Matt. Go ahead. And then I got something to do. But yeah, go ahead.
Joe, I wanted to mention that because, we've obviously seen all of the sentiments that have been pouring in for Jellybean. And, it was our experience, obviously, and I think we can all attest to this, for every time that we hung out with Jellybean or, shared a laugh or texts or, birthday greetings or things like that, the thing that I always took away was always the warmth. Jellybean made you feel like, and this is an overused cliche, but like you were the most important person in the room. We'd go months or sometimes a year or so without seeing each other, right, Kurt? And you can attest to this too. Yeah. And it was just like we had just seen him yesterday. Big hug, big smile. Asked about your families. We shared a few laughs. We talked a lot of nonsense, but he just was genuine.
He was a warm-hearted soul. He was a warm-hearted soul. He was a true humanitarian, really.
And boy, did he keep it real. I mean, he did not sugarcoat one iota. If you ask him a question, you had better strap in and put your belt buckle on, because he is going to give you the unvarnished truth.
That's for sure.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you.
Hey guys, I'm going to actually, Matt might be interested in this, because this is Jellybean talking about those early Minneapolis days. I've got a nice little clip that Jellybean and Freeze and Tori and Plaid stopped by on our show in April of earlier this year. So we're going to play that little clip for everybody. It's like maybe 2 minutes long. And if you want to hang around, everybody, and then we're going to introduce another a great friend of ours to the program as well. So hang tight, and hope you enjoy this.
I got to ask Jellybean something. Growing up in Minneapolis, did you have this kind of people you can go to check out and teach you how to play?
Not really, but I tried to check out as many bands as I could, and and I was like a sponge then. Between that and then laying on the floor next to my record player and listening, that part too, And I was just fortunate to be around a lot of my friends, people, childhood friends that I grew up with that had the same vision as me, and we were all like that. So I was lucky to grow up in like 14 13, 14, 15 around guys, that did that, like Prince. And I mean, me and Morris used to play in his living room. We set our drum sets up in his mom's living room, and we'd play until she came home and said, "Get the hell out." So that's the kind of stuff.
So which mom was the strictest, and whose mom was the least strictest, and let you guys do your thing?
My mom was probably the least strictest because she put up with a lot of shit, and she had an 8-hour job at the post office. But she just had rules, you could play. I could play pretty much till 9 or 10 o'clock, and then she's like, "Gary, I gotta go to work. You gotta stop that damn banging on the drums and put them little knuckleheads out of my house." So that was cool. Everybody else, I didn't spend, everybody else's mom was kind of like that, but my mom was, more nice about it because she always supported everything I was trying to do.
And that's the first time I heard him refer to himself as Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I can totally relate to what he went through growing up. That was the same thing. It was just jamming with my buddies.
Right.
When we were kids, we formed our first band when we were 12 years old with the neighborhood guys, just like they did. It's an identical story.
Wow.
And then we joined forces. It's really interesting. He grew up on the north side of Minneapolis. I grew up in St. Louis Park, which is a western suburb, one of what they call the inner ring post-World War II, suburbs that they built up for all the veterans after they came back from the war, people like my dad. And we had these little cookie cutter houses that we all moved into in St. Louis Park. And then it was very segregated, unfortunately. It wasn't really truly intended to be that way. But my father grew up on the north side, and then he moved when I was born, actually, to that house. And I did not meet any of those people until I auditioned for Prince. I didn't even know who Prince was until I was introduced to him through Bobby Rivkin, Bobby Z,
right.
in 1978. So it's really, I have to thank Bobby for that profusely. And the rest is history, because of David Rivkin and Owen Husney, all those people that started, got behind Prince's career.
Hey, guys, I want to bring into the stage someone you guys all know and love, Mr. Eric Rogers. He is there. Hey, Eric. Eric Rogers, of course, Paisley 5 and Dime and secretary for the Minneapolis Sound Museum Board. And Eric, sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on. This is quite an honor. Appreciate it.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, Matt. How you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there.
I can't even imagine. And this is the first time Matt and I have talked. I texted him pretty immediately after we got the news. Yeah, we really haven't had a chance to digest all of this. It's been quite crazy because just last week, my wife and I were in Minneapolis to see the play, and we saw it a couple times, and we did a couple meetings for the Minneapolis Sound Museum, and the last night we were there, Saturday, we went over to Jellybean's house to meet up with them for some more information, and we got finished with the few things we had to do there, and Jellybean just said, "Have you guys eaten? I'm hungry. I want to go." And so was like, "That's your birthday, you pick." And so we all hopped in the car and took off and had a great dinner, shared some laughs, same old Bean. And I had no idea that that goodbye that night was the goodbye.
Yeah, it was, I saw that picture with Marty and they went to the Purple Rain musical, right?
Yeah. They went to the play Wednesday night.
Okay.
Wednesday. So yeah, it was quite devastating when I got the the text came through, and it was really weird because the text came through on my wife's phone, and I was pulling into our driveway, and just as I looked down at her text as I was pulling in, all I saw was Jellybean's gone, and I instinctively just hit my phone and I called Marty, and it was like in progress, and it was a horrible turn for the night. So yeah, but Jellybean was always giving, and I think the true testament is, if you want to know anything about Jellybean, you want to know his personality, look at all the pictures that are posted from all the fans all over the world, and I dare you to find one where he is not lighting up the photo with his smile.
Right.
Yep.
Every single photo, and you know how many photos that man has taken, endured, posed, and given that beautiful open mouth Jellybean smile. You know, it was always, I know you want this picture, and I know you want this picture for posterity. He knew that, and he made sure every photo with every fan was real. And from someone who, you know, got to know him, he was a hero before he was my friend, and to see the way he would light people up and they were so happy to just be in his aura was magical. It was magical. So thank you, Joe, for doing this show. This is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough for you to come on, I'm sure. But I appreciate you sharing all those thoughts and love for Jellybean. And we want to say hello to everybody out there watching or listening, if they're listening on the rebroadcast, but on Facebook and YouTube. We feel your pain, and we know the love for Jellybean. He was just incredible, man. And still going to the nightclubs, right? And just, I saw a video the other night, and you guys know all about that. He was in some really small, like, saloon or bar, and the dancers didn't seem to match what was going. He was playing like a Hendrix tune. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No,
but
I don't think I did.
Yeah, you gotta pull that up. It was like square dancing to Jimi Hendrix music, and Jellybean incredible solo. So you gotta see that.
Joe, I will say, and Jay, you'll back me up on this. In 2024, we did our own Purple Pilgrimage, and we found out he was going to be sitting in at Shaw's Bar and Grill with, I believe the band was the Butanes.
The Butanes, right?
Right. And I saw you nod your head, Matt. So you know, because he showed up just about any place. You know, I've seen him at the Minnesota Music Cafe with JB in the Routine. But, you know, him sitting in with the Butanes, and I don't know what the tunes were. I think they were original tunes, but he would just sit there and figure the chords out and just back them up. And that 1,000,000-watt smile was just, you know, beaming. And we got to talk to him for a little bit, and he, of course, posed for a picture. You know, I mean, like you said, just if you had to sum him up in one word, genuine. I think Jay had said that earlier. Genuine is the word that I would sum him up in one word. He was just so sincere.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric, my brother, it's good to see you. Thank you for taking my call on Friday night. You know, I have nothing but love for you. You know that.
Very mutual. Thank you.
I'd like to just follow up on your point about you know, Jellybean taking a picture. I have a quick story about that will kind of also help to illustrate who Jellybean was. In 2020, right before the pandemic, my wife Robin and I had gone to see Morris Day in the Time at Foxwoods Casino here in Connecticut, and the show was over. It was one of the first shows after Monty had decided he wasn't going to be in the Time anymore, and so the gig was over as part of a festival. So it was lakeside, it was Cameo, and a bunch of. And afterwards, Jellybean sends me a text and he says, "I really want to get together. I want to have a drink." I said, "Okay, that's great. We'll meet up." Well, because Foxwoods, or it might have been Mohegan we were at, it's just convoluted to find out. So it took us about 40 minutes to get together, right? So But Jellybean comes over, we get together. Robin and I had picked up some Krispy Kreme donuts to bring home for the kids. And so we just went to like a casino, to one of the smaller casinos. We were just sitting at the slot machines, not playing. We were having Krispy Kreme donuts with Jellybean, and he hung out with us until 3:30 in the morning. The point of the story is we're sitting there, we're talking, we're having a laugh, and Jellybean was talking to Robin, and there's a guy off to the side who like didn't want to approach us. Now Jellybean's in all his full stage regalia. He's got the top hat, he's got the brocade coat on. And we're talking, and I look over, and the guy comes over and he goes, "Jellybean?" And Jellybean says, "Yes." Jellybean stands up. You know, they're talking or whatever. The guy's like, he's just awestruck because it's Jellybean Johnson. I don't know if he had been to the show or not, but he's standing there. And so he's like kind of fumbling over his words. And I said, "Well, would you like me to take a picture?" And the guy's like, yeah. So the guy gives me his phone. I take the picture, and afterwards, Jellybean gives him a hug, and the guy like floated away. And I knew in that minute, Jellybean made that gentleman's night. You know, I mean, so he's got a picture, he's got a memory that he can share. And Jellybean was he was tired. You know, he had played and we were hanging out for a few hours. But to me, that's always been my experience with Jellybean. Always there for the people. I never saw him turn down an autograph. I never saw him turn down a picture. He was just wonderful that night.
And every night.
Every night, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Those stories and some of that fun, that's why.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you fine.
So I wanted to ask Matt something.
Oh,
Matt,
absolutely. Go ahead.
About the 1999 tour. Was it that competitive behind the scenes and on stage?
For me, I could have cared less about that kind of stuff, and I avoided any sort of competitiveness type things and acrimony or anything that took place. But yes, simmering under there was some rivalry and things going on with Prince and Morris. But I never liked that kind of stuff, so I just sort of would ignore it and do my job. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people know about the infamous food fight in Cincinnati, which took place in I don't think it was that the 1999 tour.
Yeah,
I thought it was, right.
It wasn't the end of the 1999 tour, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yeah, and Roger and Zapp were opening for us.
Yep.
At the time, and anyway, I know a lot of people have heard that story, but for people who haven't, it all started in the dressing rooms in the previous night before Cincinnati, and I can't even remember what city it was. I'd have to go back and look in the history online somewhere. But basically, Morris Day and Jesse Johnson came down to our dressing room. There were like 3 levels of dressing rooms at this venue, and I can't remember where it was, but they just picked a fight and Bobby took the bait. I don't know. They were clowning around, and then next thing you know, somebody threw a piece of fruit at the other person, and then it became like this fun kind of little joking around, throwing fruit at each other backstage. I can't remember who started it. I know there was some provocation between, Morris and Bobby and Jesse.
I just looked up the date for you, March 14th, 1982.
And where was the venue? Does it say?
Cincinnati. So, it was Controversy Tour for Cincinnati. So it was probably, since I'm in that region, it's probably Riverfront Coliseum.
And that was the last show of the Controversy Tour, right?
Yeah, it should be the last show of the Controversy Tour. And I heard the night before that Jesse had gotten handcuffed to a radiator backstage or something.
No. It was that was in Cincinnati, and it was not a radiator. It was a coat rack.
Yeah.
Shelving it, like how they would bolt these metal coat racks into the wall in hockey arena dressing rooms, right? Locker rooms. Oh God. Should I be revealing all this torture and mayhem that took place backstage?
Please.
Well, it's
Okay.
Musicians Reveal. That's what the name of the show is.
Oh, really?
Revealing.
Okay. All right. Well, I know other people have related this story, and I have too in the past. But basically, the food fight started the night before. If you have that history, I don't know whatever that town was. So it started with that, and then because that happened, there was this retaliatory effect that took place from members of the time at the hotel room we were staying. So we did the show that night, and then they thought it would be fun to put mustard on the doorknobs of our hotel rooms, and somehow they got the keys to our rooms. And they went in there and sabotaged stuff in our hotel rooms and all this. And there was some damage, and the hotel said, "What, WTF? You guys are going to pay for this." Prince was really mad at the time because they pulled that. And then it was the following night when the revenge cycle started, and that was in Cincinnati. And that's when it became too serious. It got to be like vendetta, revenge. Like it was scary because it was mean. It got mean. There was definitely some meanness there in it, like angry.
Yeah.
And Jesse mouthed off to Prince about something, and that's when Prince had Chick, the big bodyguard, grab him and say, "Handcuff him. Nobody's gonna make, he was doing your mama jokes to Prince and saying your mama this, your mama that." And I was like, what the heck? There was definitely something going on with Prince and Jesse. I don't know what it was. I don't know why. There was I don't even remember the details. So he got handcuffed, and Prince just sat there and talked to him with Chick and just berated him in front of everybody. I had to sit there because it was in our dressing room, in the locker room. So we're all sitting there watching this. And then Jesse was so angry that he literally was able to pull the 8-foot section of chrome coat rack out of the wall from the bolts. We watched him do it in slow motion. It was like hard, like cranking on this thing until he got it out of the wall. And then once he got it out of the wall, he started wielding it like a weapon, and he came after people, and Chick had to restrain him and get him out of there and take the handcuffs off of the coat rack and get him out of there. I mean, I don't relate this story very much, but Jellybean wasn't there. He was in the other dressing room. But I went down the hall later, and the time members were gearing up for war. They had donned full garbage bags, plastic garbage bags with holes cut in the bottom. They were over their bodies. They had shower caps on. They had like gotten eggs and God knows what else. And Prince knew all this was happening. So after they had let Jesse go, I went down the hall. They captured me like it was a capture the flag, They got me, dragged me into their dressing room, and they were threatening to tar and feather me. And I said, no, guys, please. I'm neutral. I have nothing. I have no bone to pick with you guys. Leave me out of this. Just please. I don't want to be involved. So they did. They let me go, and their tour manager, was there and said, "Let Fink go. It's right before the show. What are you going to do to him?" So they let me go, and then during the Times set, Prince had Jerome Benton pulled off stage in the middle of a song, whereupon he was covered with honey. A bottle of honey was squeezed all over him. And then all kinds of stuff, tarred and feather. I can't remember. It might have been cereal or Fruit Loops or feathers too. I mean, they just went hog wild on him. And then Prince went off the side of the stage and played the bottles like on the song that he had to play percussion on while they tarred and feathered him. Then they put him back on stage looking like that. It was brutal. It was a takedown, right? It was just brutal.
So I did get a little bit more information for the historians that are tuned in. The night before was March 13th in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
that's probably where it was. What was does it say the theater?
The Tower Theater.
Tower Theater.
That's what it was, the Tower Theater.
I'm about 25 minutes away from it. Yep.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yep. That's
and
Todd
apparently,
wow.
The rumor is that they were having a conversation in the dressing room in Pennsylvania, and Prince threw a Dorito at Jesse, and that kind of was the genesis for everything that took off.
No, that wasn't it. No. Morris and Jesse came down to our dressing room and were being precocious about something, and Bobby took the bait and threw a banana or something, and then they went and retrieved things and threw. And I can't see. I'm trying to think if Morris threw the first volley. That's the problem. It's so long ago, I can't remember who started it exactly. So beyond that, just as this progressed that evening, though, after they tarred and feathered and did all that stuff to Jerome, we got on stage, right? And they came out with all kind, like they had eggs, and they started egging us on stage during our show from the audience. And a couple of these eggs hit the mixer board on the side of the stage.
Oh, shit.
And you got to, that could have been dangerous. It could have shorted out the board. Any number of things could have gone wrong. And it really pissed off our sound guy, our monitor guy. And so this, they managed to stop the egging because they said, stop, get the security on these guys. They can't be doing that, So then what they did is they laid in wait for us for the show to end. And when I got off the stage, they ambushed me with a dozen eggs or more. I mean, hard and fast, two guys just pounding me. I was covered with eggs, literally. And I kept telling these guys, have I done anything to deserve this? Have I ever provoked you? Have I ever, have we ever had any disagreements on tour or had any issues? No. Why? I'm not your guy. But they still went after me. It's like, get the innocent one. Get Fink. He doesn't want to be involved. We're roping him in now. That's it. Right? So after that, we all got back into the dressing room, and Prince, he was planning stuff in the background. Unbelievable. He told our manager, go into the store and get 3 dozen cream pies. And we're going to have an old-fashioned pie fight like in the silent film era. God. This is what, I didn't even know any of this had been discussed even. This is all in the same evening. And they did it. We come off stage, we're in the locker room, and they've got cream pies on pallets, rolling pallets, rolled into the dressing room, and we went and had at it in the dressing room between the groups to just let it all out. It was unbelievable. And we were slip sliding on the floor with all this cream, and it was just unbelievable. And when I got to the end of the whole thing and we were all finally cleaned up and showered, I walked into Roger from Zapp's dressing room to say goodnight. And he looks at me and he goes, grown men. Grown men. Just like that. And I just went, yeah, this was just as much of a surprise to me as it was for you.
Matt, do you have any Jellybean stories from the film set?
Do you mean from Purple Rain?
Yeah.
Not really, because he was shooting on different days, and a lot of the stuff they were doing, except for maybe the one scene at the end with the dressing room where they walking by down the hallway and we're all in there. But yeah, excuse me. We just hung out a lot. I'm sorry. I thought I'd bring some levity, and I hope people aren't upset that I'm during a very rough moment.
We eat that stuff up.
We need a laugh. We need these.
Hey guys, sorry to cut you off, Kurt. If you guys don't mind, we'll come back and throw it to you guys. I've got, like I mentioned before, got some clips, 1 or 2 minute clips of some of Jellybean and some of his friends, and one of his dear friends, and he's also a dear friend of mine, Ronnie Baker Brooks, who Jellybean introduced me to years ago, and Jellybean produced 3 of his albums, so he was a big brother to Jellybean was to Ronnie Baker Brooks. So here's a little clip on Ronnie Baker Brooks meeting Jellybean for the first time, if you guys want to check this out.
Sure.
Years I've been knowing Bean now, man. We hit it off immediately, man. I met Jellybean. This is how it happened. I was on tour with my dad. I was playing with my dad behind Coco Taylor, Junior Wells, and my dad. We were the Alligator All Stars, and we played up in Minnesota at the state fair in Minneapolis. And Bean was there. I didn't know. I didn't know Bean at the time. So fast forward, we had a week off or something like that. It was here in Chicago. So I'm at Blues, and somebody said, Albert Collins is down at the mines. I was like, what? I love Albert. I went down to see Albert. AC was playing, and I walked in the door. Albert was watching AC play, and I walked in the door. Jellybean was sitting there, and Jellybean 6'4", 6'5".
And wears a hat a lot of time.
Yeah, and make him look like he's 7 foot, you know?
Right.
And he just stood up right before I got in and said, hey, you Ronnie Baker Brooks? I said, yeah, Jellybean Johnson. And to be honest with you, Joe, I was so caught up in seeing Albert Collins, it didn't even ring Jellybean Johnson. I'm thinking because he was so big and he had on a Minnesota Vikings jersey. I'm thinking he a football player.
Yeah, so Jellybean, he was so nice to everybody. Yeah. And you know, yeah. How about some of our panel right here? Some of the tour stories going to see Jellybean and special memories, and want to relate a little bit of it?
If you
I've got a great one from St. Louis. Actually, Matt was there too with the Minneapolis Funk All Stars. I was there and I helped him like unload and bring things up to the stage. And then Paul asked me if I could run him up to a store because he needed some bass picks. And so we did. We hopped in the car. We went and got them. And then we get back, and while they're doing setup, sound check and everything, Bean's guitar was not hitting right. There was a pickup switch that was not staying in place and was causing some problems. And he had another guitar, but it was not what he needed for like 50% of the set. So they were already kind of adjusting and figuring out what to do. And I just told Paul, I said, hey, I can take the guitar up to that guitar shop we just went to. So I called him, I grabbed the guitar, I took off running, and this is about an hour before doors. I take off running out the door. I take this thing up to the guitar shop. This guy has to tear it open. He's doing open heart surgery on this guitar. He stayed open late after hours because he knew it was for Jellybean. He rigged the pickup to where it would at least stay in place and do the show. And it was the purple glitter guitar that has the symbol on the side. That was the one that we had to do this to. Anyway, I get back, and as I'm walking in, the band was in the dressing room. The doors were already well open, and the show was about to start in like 10 minutes. And I walked in the dressing room with Bean, and he just goes, hey, nephew, just put it out there on the guitar rack, put it out there on the rack for me. And went, set it down and plugged it in, and it worked. It got him through the show, but it was quite incredible to watch his guitar get taken apart. And the whole time, Jellybean did not freak out at all. I was probably more freaked out than he was.
Wow.
But it was, right before the show. So if you saw St. Paul and Minnesota All Stars, or Minnesota Funk All Stars in St. Louis about a year and a half ago, it was almost a different show.
Wow.
Hey guys, I got to introduce some of you know this gentleman, Swang Stewart, who is the lead singer with the Family Stone, and of course played with Jellybean at the Cutting Room. And he showed me a nice rehearsal video of those guys. And sorry for your loss, Swang.
I thank you, Joe. Hello to everybody.
Hey.
Brooklyn, New York, and everybody's, I'm sure, feeling the same. I wanted to, first of all, acknowledge and express condolences to his family, of course, first, but the entire Minneapolis Hall of Fame is what I call them. You know, you can have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My Hall of Fame is in Minneapolis. With hello, Matt Fink. I owe you an apology, Matt Fink, because we did a show together at the Armory, and you came over to me while we were sound checking, and you said, "You're the Sly guy, right?" And I think I answered your question, but in my mind, all I said was, "Dr. Fink just asked me a question."
Sorry, I shouldn't have put it that way either. That was the wrong way for me to put it, to introduce myself, I think.
No. It's
when I first met Swang, you know, playing keyboardist and vocals with Days of Wild at the Bitter End in New York City.
Yeah.
Great band. And we want to give a shout out to Guy Oshis and hope he's feeling better.
Yeah, Guy's been up and down health wise, but he actually became close with Jellybean long before I did. I guess through BB King's, his association with BB King's. Rest in peace to BB King's. That club is gone as well here in New York. But yeah, and then prior, I guess, oh boy, my mind is not what it used to be. So I wanted to talk a bit about the cutting room. I don't want to take up too much time here, but a lady named Tanya Giddens, who's a producer and a producer out here in New York City, she wanted to honor Jellybean. And with hindsight, I'm so glad that she decided to do that, because, you know, we could have known. But this was about 1.5 years ago, and she hired Dorsey Sky Parker, who's an incredible drummer, musical director, and he called me and said, "Do you want to play with Jellybean?" I think I waited for him to stop asking the question before I said yes. But I, you know, what else could I say? You know, I would move heaven and earth to make that happen. So, so we rehearsed for a long time. We got a good band together, then augmented that band to expand the lineup, you know, to fill up the sound. That might have been at Jellybean's request, I don't know. But shout out to Law, who is a local musician here in New York, who's, I'm sure a lot of Joe's audience is very familiar with Law and his background in the world of funk music. You know, worked with everybody: Amy Winehouse, George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic. The list goes on and on. But he was the catalyst for this happening at all, because I don't want to speak for him, but I feel pretty confident saying that he was something of a protege of Jellybean's. You know, Jellybean and he worked in the studio a lot together. And, of course, Law comes with a full stock of talent, but Jellybean kind of took him under his wing a little bit. So we ended up, long story short, Jellybean came in on the last rehearsal we did. He brought Eddie M with him. And you saw some of that. I sent Joe a rehearsal video earlier of the rehearsal that we did. And all I can tell you is, rehearsing for whatever it was, 6 weeks, Jellybean came in there, heard what we were doing, and I don't want to say anything was wrong. We had our homework done, but Jellybean fixed everything. He heard all of it. This voicing is not quite right, so you got to invert that chord over there. You know, all of that started happening, and it was just one thing after another, just tightening us all up. I remember him at one point saying, he took us to school that day. He said something like, "The show is 360 degrees." And I thought, what the hell does that mean? But later on, he clarified to another musician there. He's like, "Listen, you can get the choreography and the show together, but if the musicianship is not right, then the show's not ready. Okay, you got those two together. If the lights aren't together, then the show's not ready. If the front of house sound, good front of house sound will not save a bad show. But bad front of house sound will kill a good one instantly."
Oh, so, yeah.
Through all of this, because every last bit of it. So 360 Degrees, and I'm not shy to say I stole that from Jellybean and have used it a lot of times with the Family Stone ever since.
Yeah, and he didn't read music or chord charts. It was all right up here.
Yeah,
and through here.
Yeah, you know, I asked Jellybean, one of the early, I had him on like 8 times for interviews or so. And I asked him who in the time can read music. And he went through individually which member. He can read music. Monty can read music. He said he couldn't read music. And he goes, I'm afraid to ask Jesse if he can read music. So that's the kind of dynamics of that band.
Joe, do you mind if I just touch on something?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
The story that Swang just told. Because Swang, I was at that show at the Cutting Room.
Right, I'm glad
you all were fantastic. And I keep in touch with Sky. We were just texting the other day. We know Tanya very well, but you guys were on fire that day. Everything was tight. And Jellybean was shredding that day. So I can attest to how great that show was, because literally I've got videos and pictures of it from my wife and I being at the show. So, it was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Electric Man. Oh, go ahead.
I was one cog in that wheel. It was a wonderful team of musicians, and Jellybean wasn't going to let us go on stage and not do this music justice. So, and you were talking about his laugh. I learned pretty early on, somebody pulled me aside and said, if you can make him laugh, you're in. Right? So, because he had just gotten off the plane, he came straight from the airport, so he was pretty tired. And so we did the rehearsal, and he and Eddie were talking afterwards with a couple of people from the studio who recognized him and wanted to just shoot the breeze, I guess. And somebody asked him where his name came from, and I had not heard this story. I didn't know how he got the name Jellybean. He was always Jellybean, since I was, 10 years old. So I'd never even thought, I didn't know what his name was until I was well into adulthood. So I'm listening to him tell this story about, Flight Time played a bad gig or something like that in the 70s, and he went off on him afterwards and told him they played like a bunch of jelly beans. And I guess to get back at him a little bit, he got tagged with the name. So I'm off to one side, just kind of eavesdropping, and I say, "Man, that's a disappointing story." And he, what? I said, "Yeah, I'm really disappointed." I said, "I'm a really big fan of ironic humor. I thought it was an ironic joke." He's like, "What are you talking about? What's ironic humor?" And I turned to him. I'm like, "Dude, you're 6'5", big, scrapping guy named Jellybean. I thought it was like fat guys named Tiny or bald guys named Curly or something like that. An ironic joke. Do you know that he doubled over out of his seat, laughing his ass off?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm in. I got him."
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna there he is. Hey, Jimmy, can you turn your speaker off?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah.
Just real quick, I got to run. I got to be at a dinner thing here in a minute.
Yeah, I really appreciate you spending time with us, Matt.
No problem. Before you bring the other gentleman in, I just want to say good night to everybody and to everyone who's mourning our friend. And have a great night, everyone.
Talk to you soon, Matt.
Thanks. Good to see you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, bye. All right, we've got another guest coming up, but you know what I'm gonna do? You guys all know Chance Howard, who Jellybean, another big brother to Chance, and we wish Chance well. He went through a horrific car accident with a lot of recovery, and I talked to him during the pandemic. Really tough go at things, but we hope he's doing better. And he talked about coming to Minneapolis and who he met. One of the first nights he ever was in Minneapolis and trying to get into the music scene. So we'll play this little clip and come back. We'll invite our guests into the studio. And thanks everybody for watching us here on YouTube, Facebook, and we love Jellybean Johnson. We're here celebrating and trying to make things a little bit easier for all of us. Okay.
2 days that I was there, we went to this to this nightclub called the Riverview Supper Club, and it was over in North Minneapolis. And we were just over there, and it was funny because there was this guy standing all the way down at the end of the club, and he was bobbing his head. You know, he had this little hat on, you know, and I said, man, only one cat in the whole wide world bobs his head like that. That's Jellybean Johnson. You know, and you couldn't even see his face or anything. All I saw was the back of his head, and I was like, man, that's him.
Right.
And my boy was like, nah, man, that ain't him. So we went over there, and it was Bean, you know, and I had a tape, and Bean decided to listen to the tape after the show, and he listened to the tape, and he just said, man, what are you doing tomorrow? You know, what are you doing tomorrow night? I was like, whatever you want me to do, bro. Whatever you need, I'm there. So he said, man, just be down here same time tomorrow. So I came down the next night, and he brought down, he's my best friend now. This guy, his name is Popeye, James Popeye Greer. He brought Pop down. I met Pop, and then after the gig, Terry Lewis came rolling up, you know, and I sat in the car with Terry, and I let Terry hear some songs and stuff, and man, shoot, just to see those three cats,
right,
you know, was a trip, man. And that right there, all I did was I flew back home, I packed my clothes, and I came back to Minneapolis. I never went back.
Right.
Yeah, Chance, always a great guy to come by the show. And I wanted to, I know everybody here in the room and watching and listening wanted to send our love out to Marty Bragg.
Hi, Marty.
Marty, we love you, and you know, whatever we can do for you, we definitely be there for you. And I know you have loving friends and family. So, and of course, Jellybean's up there, maybe in the studio with Regal the Rare. So, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Marty.
Hey, Joe, can I ask?
Go ahead.
Can I ask Kurt to share a story?
Go ahead.
We were talking about Jellybean and the type of man he was. Kurt, can you talk about your first guest when you first started podcasting?
5 years ago, it was Jellybean. I had reached out to him. This was when I was the Purple Kurt podcast before you and I joined forces. Eric, his manager, Luna, Jeff Luna. Sorry, Jeff, if you're watching. It's been a week for us all. Jeff Luna and Marty, hi, words can't express, coordinated it so that I would speak with him about a week. You know, nobody was working at the time. I wasn't working, so I like at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday or something like that, and he had contracted COVID, and he, you know, said, Kurt, I've got COVID, you know, but I'm okay to do the interview. You know, if you want to, you know, are we recording right now? Whatever. I said, are you sure? So he gave me about 35 minutes, and then he was starting to get winded because he really had the symptoms pretty full blown. But it's a testament to the fact that he didn't want to give up or quit or say no. That's how giving a guy he was. And boy, I tell you, the questions that I asked him, I mean, this is a couple months after George Floyd, you know, where he was for that. And we got in deep. I mean, in a 35-minute interview, he unflinchingly just, you know, told you what time it was. So I mean, after that, I got to meet him in Minneapolis for the Nothing Compares to Peace show that he put together in 2022. And Law, if Law's watching, Law, you just killed it on that show. Official Biz was there. He had a single out at that time, Renaissance, which Joe, your previous guest who had to leave here, Matt Fink, plays a keyboard solo on. They did it live. Matt didn't play on it, but when they did it live, I mean, that just, he killed on guitar. Bean just killed it. I believe Bean, he just absolutely just, you know, knocked you out. And maybe a day after that, he kept playing gig to gig to gig to gig, right, Marty? So the Minnesota Music Cafe, he was playing with JB and the Routine. Okay. And he's playing guitar in that. They closed with him doing Funkadelic's Maggot Brain. Right. And he just killed it. And I took the inspiration from him playing that and said to my guitar player, I'm in a Led Zeppelin covers band. I said, hey, a couple of years later, I said, what would you think about doing Dazed and Confused with a sliver of Maggot Brain? And it was Jellybean and his inspirational performance that years later to that inspired us to incorporate that into our show. And it places where people know, not just rock and blues, knew it was Maggot Brain. You saw people's eyes just go, no way, you know. And I have Bean to thank for that. And I know he's up there smiling his rear end off with the notion of that.
Yeah,
with the
thanks,
notion
Kurt.
of that. Yeah. Oh.
So if I could take just a moment, Joe.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, you know, the stories like these, and this is why the Minneapolis Sound Museum was so important to Jellybean. Jellybean and Marty first had this idea, and it became quite a project, a passion project for Jellybean.
Yeah.
And I think it was his album release party at the Fine Line. I was working that show with him, and they had just started really kind of kicking the idea around. And they approached me after the show and they said, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. And we really want to put something together. Would you like to be in? And we think we could really use you as well. And immediately, I don't even know if I let them finish the sentences. Yes, yes, and yes. So with that being said, the Minneapolis Sound Museum, since that time, we have developed a board of directors. We have an executive board. We have been scouting locations. When I was just in Minneapolis with Jellybean last week, one of the things we were doing was touring a facility that is near North. It's actually in North Minneapolis for the museum. Things are really moving. Things are progressing. For those of you that have been watching this progression, it's going to happen. It really is going to happen. We've taken some big steps. We've got a couple new board members that are very pivotal. We've got people that are really pulling in political circles as well as financial circles. So this dream of his is really starting to take shape. And for those of you that love the Minneapolis Sound, if you love these stories, this is what we're going to be doing. This is, you know, I think what people need to understand about the Minneapolis Sound Museum, if there's any misunderstanding, it's not a museum about Jellybean. It's a museum about everyone. It's a museum about everyone in this umbrella. It's also not a Prince museum. It is everything. It is the family. It's Maserati. It's Flight Time. It's the early family before, you know, the Petersons and the family and what are some other ones? The Lewis Connection, 94 East, Maserati, Wendy and Lisa, all the way up through. We are going to tell the story of everyone and how they got here, what they did, how they came to, their fun stories while they were in the purple circle. And I guess the easiest way to think of it is like a tree. All the root system is all the people that influenced Prince locally in Minneapolis. This would be, you know, the Lewis Connection, Flight Time, Grand Central, the people that were pivotal in kind of shaping young Prince. And then the tree trunk would be Prince himself. And the tree branches and all the leaves would be all the artists that he developed and worked with and that came out of his inspiration. That's what the museum is about. And we really want to take people like this audience that understand when you throw out a name like Chance Howard. We all know who that is, but we want to know the full story. And this is not a competition with Paisley Park. We love Paisley Park. We want to work with Paisley Park, and Paisley is aware of us, and we do speak. But in as much capacity as Paisley Park has, if you buy a 3-hour tour, which is their, super exclusive VIP package, that's 3 hours, and Prince has albums that are longer than 3 hours. So it's not that they're ignoring the Minneapolis Sound. They're not. They don't have the time to tell it because it is so massive, but so is Prince. And there's only X number of hours that they can do in a tour. So we are trying to pick up the thing that they can't get across, so that when people do come to Minneapolis and they go to First Avenue, they go to Bunkers, they want to go check out Mambo's Combo, they want to go tour Paisley Park, they can go to the Minneapolis Sound Museum and get the rest of the story. That's what it's about. And for anybody that really wants to jump in and help us get this thing to the finish line, visit us at minneapolissoundmuseum.org. And there's a place there for donations. There's a place there to get information, sign up for a newsletter. Things are really moving. And for those of you that are interested in the Minneapolis Sound, we have a home for you. So thank you, Joe, for your time and letting me put that out there. For
and one quick question about all you were talking about, since you've been in Jellybean's house, he was always asking me way back, hey, can you make a copy of that interview? And he was really interested, Sonny T. He's like, yeah, he was on show. Make a copy for me. So I give it to him at the show. How big is his collection in his own home? Was he a huge collector, right?
Oh, which part of the collection are you talking about?
Just in general, yeah. I mean, you don't have to. You could hide all the details, but
no, it's his house was impressive. If you could imagine, you've seen the TV show Hoarders. Mm-hmm. If that was music.
Wow.
If that was music, CDs, albums, guitars, and guitars. Like there is a path through the house, through guitars. And not just a room that is full, rooms of guitars. It's he did not just enjoy music. He didn't just play music. He was an embodiment. Like if you really got to spend time with him, talk to him, like this young man was telling us here about Jellybean came in and in 2 seconds was tuning everything up. He knew what to do. That's who he was. Jellybean was music. It really was part of his DNA. If you took his DNA strand, it's not going to be little connectors. It's going to be musical notes through those things that connected. That's who Jellybean is.
Yeah, I know we've got Jimmy Primetime Smith, who's a good friend of Jellybean's, in the green room. The only problem, Jimmy, I tried to bring in your audio had a lot of feedback, so I was wondering possibly with your if you're listening through your computer for the speaker, I don't know if you have headphones or not. We can bring you in. So we'll try after this, but I'm going to play a little clip right now, and then I got to ask JD Silva and Kurt about this experience going out to Sweetwater's in Indiana. You guys were out there to see the
yes, as was Eric,
the Time Band. Yeah, Eric, you were there too. Yeah, so
yep,
you guys, I'm
absolutely.
sure, had a lot to add to this.
Sure. Yeah,
this
absolutely.
was before the actual seminar and that they were out there at Sweetwater's. This is pretty funny about when they came on the show and we're talking about drums. And I want to say to all the guys in the band with Morris Day and the Time and the original guys, we're sending love out to you. I know Freeze was in the chat room a little while ago. So, our hearts and thank you for everything you've given to us all along these years. So this is a little clip. We'll come back and ask the fellas about that particular weekend out there in Indianapolis or Fort Wayne.
I've been playing drum machine beats, and those are always challenging, you know, for me, you know, because, you know, with drum machine, you can get away with all that complex shit. Well, to make it feel right playing it live as a human, you got to get the essence of it, you know, to make people want to shake their ass. You know, I told a girl I want her asses wiggling, you know, from the famous Morrissey day. Yeah. And so it's an art to do that and make it feel right in concert, you know. So, and I've spent most of my career doing that.
And let me just add this while we're talking about Jellybean. Jellybean is about the hardest hitting, most solid drummer ever. Okay. Yeah. I want everybody to know that about this man. Okay. I get the drum machine, but this man is as tight as a drum machine and be breaking pedals. Okay. Busting up drums. This man is ridiculous.
What Morris call them Fleetwoods?
Fleetwoods, man. Tearing up.
I can attest to that. We need extra sandbags.
And it makes what we do so much easier. You know, it's like I've gotten spoiled. Every time I'm playing with somebody else, if they drift off that one, I can hear it immediately because he's so solid. They're like, no, that's behind. That's not there.
You know, I've always told people over the years that me, Morris, and Prince play drums alike, but I just hit harder than they do.
You play a lot harder than them.
I hit harder than them, and they both would tell you that, you know. So
I'll tell you a quick story.
Like the same guys, but you know, I approach the drums from rock funk kind of thing, you know. I want my guys, you know, to feel that 2 and 4 in their back, and that inspires Freeze, that inspires Tori.
And you already know.
Yeah, you know, that 2 and 4 hitting you in the back right, you're gonna do right.
Yeah, that's the Jellybean we know and love. Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know, and I'm sure we all heard that's some bullshit, man, right?
Don't step on bullshit. That's
some bullshit.
Oh my God. Absolutely. So I want to address something, if you don't mind, Joe. Plaid said it, and Jay, you know where I'm going with that, the sandbags.
Yep.
So Eric, you and your beloved, no. Who came with you? Eric.
Chrissy, another friend, Chrissy. Yeah, Amber wasn't able to make it.
Right. So you guys didn't see the sound check, but Jay and I managed to get to the hotel. I drove to Fort Wayne, Indiana. You flew in. I had to pick you up at the airport there. You know, so cute you could pet it. And we basically got to the hotel, did our thing, did a little promo video, and then we followed them to the venue and Sweetwater. Now, you guys going to follow us the next day, or it was the next day, right, Jay? Right. So we followed them, and it was my 55th birthday that day. What a birthday present, let me tell you. Well, now for obvious reasons, I really won't ever forget it. But we went to sound check. It was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. And they were setting up the drums and stuff like that, and he had to get the carpet, you know, just right, because it was kind of it looked like the stage was kind of slick. It was one of those not amphitheater, but auditorium, you know, like a recital hall kind of setup. Very much like the college I went to, as a matter of fact. It looked almost like the same design. And Jellybean his bass drum kept moving because he was hitting the drum pedal so damn hard. And I think he already had 4 or 5 sandbags up there, maybe 40, 50 pounds. And they had to get one of the lackeys to get up there and get another like half a dozen sandbags so his drum pedal wouldn't move. That's how hard he hit the drums. Right. Unbelievable to watch that.
So. Jay?
And for me, you know, one of the most important things was, you know, obviously the sound check and the show were great. And it was literally really a seminar and a breakdown of some of their biggest hits, whether solo or with the Time and Morris Day and the Time. But what really did it for me was the day that we had gotten there, we ended up having dinner with the group.
Yep.
And it was just, you know, I was sitting across the table from Bean. Kurt was to
right
Bean,
next to him. Yeah.
And Monty was to my right. And we were just catching up and telling stories. You know, the NBA playoffs were on. So Bean was, you know, shouting.
Right. Yeah, he was.
We were just having a great time. And it was great to be able to be with them in that setting, you know, just kicking it, relaxing, chilling, whatever. After they had just been rehearsing, they had just come from rehearsal. And we probably stood there about 2.5 hours, right, Kurt?
Yeah.
Having dinner, catching up, telling stories. And I remember coming home telling my wife, I'm like, I never get tired of that. In the 24 years that we were hanging out with Jellybean or backstage or doing whatever, all the stories and just the life that he had, the energy that he had, that dinner that night, I'll never forget it.
No, he told stories about Janet Jackson, if I recall, and well,
he definitely kept it real.
Oh.
Can I just ask Kurt to tell the story about sometimes I get lonely? The conversation.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, so I'd never met Monty Moyer before, and I was just it's been a long dream of mine to meet him. He's the only member of the time I've not met, and he. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I got a little lost in thought there, but
no, I remember when one of your favorite songs, Sometimes I Get Lonely.
Oh, sure.
Monty
So I'm trying to think, with Monty, I was fawning over Monty, and I'm like, it was total bullshit that Sometimes I Get Lonely never got released off as a single for him. Well, it almost was. Yeah, that was some bullshit, Kurt, because they shouldn't.
Hey, no cursing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just messing
really?
with you. I'm messing with you.
Oh, jeez, dude, you picked the wrong guy to put on your show. Let me tell you.
Right.
Jay will attest, and Eric will certainly attest, and Swang, you're already learning. So, but no, but he just he kept it real. No, Warner Brothers. We talked with Warner Brothers, and and I think Morris put the kibosh on that. He would just, I don't remember the exact words he said there, but he would. And I'm like, really? Oh my God. And then what happens? It was just him and Monty.
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock. Right. Thank you, Jay. It was him and Monty 3 o'clock in the morning, putting that together for because I think Jimmy and Terry had acted him. I know, Law. Mad respect to you, man. And again, can I just say, you just killed it when I say Nothing Compares to P show in 2022, man. Killed it. Absolutely killed it. You had a little James Brown in you that night, let me tell you, my man. But at 3 o'clock, it was I think what Monty told me, and because Bean got that whole thing going and got Monty going, because Monty didn't know me. And he goes, oh yeah, Jimmy and Terry basically asked me, you got a ballad? We need a ballad for the album. What do you got? So I said, let me think. Maybe I can work up something. So that's basically, but Bean and him, and I'm sure I just texted Monty today or last night, and he's known Bean since he was 20. And just, I'm sure that the two of them, if you're in a band and Swang, I'm sure you can attest to this. You get a certain telepathy working with people. You know what I mean? There's this ESP, a band ESP is what I like to call it. You just know the push and the pull, the looks and the stuff. No, it's not quite right. I'm sure that the two of them were like Lennon and McCartney at that moment. Just, they had that song in like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite Time songs, if I'm being honest. I just love that. One of Morris Day's better vocals, I think.
And I made the mistake of listening to it yesterday in my feels, and it really hit a different way, based on what just happened.
Damn, Jay, glutton for punishment. It's a great song. Hey, man,
Yeah, those are great stories. We got another gentleman, Jimmy Primetime Smith. He's all locked in, ready to go. Sorry, brother. Well. Okay, he wasn't ready to go. Yeah, so anyways, hey, you guys will all attest to this place. Tramps. I want to ask Swang about Tramps because we saw a lot of great time shows, me and the Electric Man.
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yeah. Tell us about, let's talk about Tramps, the time at Tramps.
I can't talk about that here.
Off the air.
No, dude, those stories are are not for the weak. This is that was a hell of a venue, though, man. And God, Tramp Stories. My memory is not what it once was. It was a hell of a venue, though, and venues like that are going away. And Jellybean talked a little bit about that too when we were here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just so messed up because I just saw Law pop in, and it's bringing up a lot of stuff. I was days away from seeing Jellybean again.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you guys are slated this Friday, right? You were supposed to play.
Right. I was telling Joe, we have a show that's still happening at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City on Black Friday.
Oh,
right.
With it was us, the Commodores, and in the time we're gonna round out it was a good lineup. We were all looking forward to it, and I was really looking forward to reconnecting with Bean. I hadn't seen him since we were in Minneapolis together. And I reached out to everybody, a few people. Jason Peterson Delaire got back to me right away. Paul Peterson is very grief-stricken.
He was just in here.
Law, I'm glad you're talking, brother, because we're all worried about you. So check in with us when you can. We love you. And Eddie M, of course, he had some great words of consolation. The whole family, like the extended family, people are in these stages of grief. But I was really looking forward to it. But I can actually feel good about the fact that last time I saw Bean in person was just about a year ago. Not quite a year ago. We were in Washington State. Forgive me for not remembering the name of the town. We flew into Seattle, basically. So it was suburban Seattle. And he was the last person I saw as we were walking out after we opened the show. MD and the Time closed it, so we all went out front and just to take class from those cats. And after the show, giving hugs and pounds to Freeze and Tori, gave a hug to Bean and said, "Hey man, for a guitar player, you play drums pretty good." And he again, I got it.
Oh, that's great.
That's big.
Yeah, it was a good final memory to have.
That's big. That's my brother.
Yeah, I wanted to, before we bring in Jimmy, because Jimmy hasn't spoken yet. That I wanted to. You guys have mentioned about Law and Paul Peterson, little brothers to Jellybean, who just loved those guys, took them under his wing and various projects. So appreciate you guys coming in and everybody watching so far tonight. It makes us feel a little better about a tremendous loss, and just a little bit. So thanks for these gentlemen who have been here tonight.
Yeah.
And we got to ask Jimmy Primetime Smith, another great friend of Jellybean. What did Jellybean mean to you? And talk about your friendship.
Well, Jellybean was like a brother to me. Me and Jellybean, I knew Jellybean from 1979 when I moved to Minneapolis from Chicago. I met him at a place called the Yazoo Club. It was around the corner from where I lived, on Lake Street. And I was playing with a blues guy named Percy, and we opened up for them guys. And I just met him, and I was like, wow, man, these guys are really funky. I said, I love this. And so I was standing there, and I started talking with Jellybean. I started talking with Jesse Johnson and all of them, and we met and stuff. And I said, hey, Bean, who's the little cat in the corner, man? Just keep peeking at us and stuff. He said, oh, man, that's Prince. Don't you know Prince? I said, no, man, I just moved to town. I didn't know Prince. Prince what? And then he explained to me who he was. And so I was like, wow. But after that, man, we kind of lost contact for a little while, and then we got back together. And whenever I was in town, I used to run the jams at Shaw's Bar and Grill and at the Blue Saloon in St. Paul. Yeah, and Bean would always, he said, hey, Blues Brother. He called me Blues Brother all the time. Said, hey, little Blues Brother.
we got to play some blues, man. Come on, man. I said, yeah, man, we'll do it. You know what? Hit it, man. Let's go do this. And so we'd always get together and play. But beyond that, he was a great man, a great friend. He touched my heart so much. And I was talking to another friend of mine, and he was telling me about some people was trying to say, man, well, they didn't know who he was. Didn't know. Like, I said, if you don't like Gary Jellybean Johnson, there's something wrong with you. I said, because he is the epitome of the nicest person you'll ever meet, no matter what he does. And he always helped me. He always was with me whenever I was in town. He said, Jimmy, little blues bro, man, they just don't know, man. They don't know. I said, yeah, Bean, I know, man. So I've always loved Jellybean. And like I said, it's been hard for me because my friend Alan Kirk that runs the jam now called me when it happened. And he goes, man, where you at? I said, I was just turning over to go to sleep. And he said, Bean gone. I said, no. I said, I just talked to Bean. I just talked to him. I said, no. And he says, no, I'm sorry, man. And I was like, oh, Lord, Jesus. But I know we all come and we have to go. But this is one thing that really hurts a lot of people and touches a lot of people because he touched so many people. He was the greatest man that I've ever met in my life, man. And I played with some great artists. But Gary Jellybean Johnson, that's my brother from my heart. And I always say that. My brother from another mother. That's Gary Jellybean Johnson.
Yeah, it was I got to give it up for Jellybean and the guys who stayed in Minneapolis, and he was going out to the clubs,
right?
Didn't have to go out to the clubs, could have sat home and chilled and just enjoyed things like that, but he was there just grinding and playing guitar. You guys, what do you think? He loved playing guitar more than drums?
I kind of think he did myself.
Yeah.
I kind of think he did myself.
Yeah.
Anytime I didn't see him play with with Morris Day in the time, he and you brought up Shaw's Bar and Grill, and we've seen him at Shaw's Bar and Grill there prime time.
Yeah.
And while we're on this subject, I just wanted to congratulate you on getting into the Blues Hall of Fame in Arizona.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're a legit one. So and Swang just it's an honor to be amongst your both your gentlemen's company. I mean, Jesus. But but it's a testament to what you just said. I every time I've seen a Minnesota Music Cafe, all these different bars and clubs he would play at, he was playing the guitar when he wasn't playing with the time. And when Jay and I had the pleasure of seeing him at Celebration this year, he played with the family reunion on guitar. And then drums for Morris Day at the time. So that's the last gig I would see him do. Not a bad way to go out because I got to see him do his two passions. I mean, what better way to honor him than that?
Right. We had just played two weeks before this at the Blues Saloon. That's the video I put out. Me and him at the Blues Saloon in the picture. Because he loved Lonnie Brooks and he knows the Brooks family and all that. And we always did a Lonnie Brooks song and a Bobby Rush song, or either a Muddy Waters. And he goes, "Man, we got to get in the alley, blues, bro. Come on, man." He said, "They don't know. Come on, let's do it, man." He loved playing his guitar, man, and he was a monster on that thing. There was nobody else like him on the guitar. I mean, I'm a guitar player, but Jellybean Johnson, man, there's nobody like Jellybean on the guitar. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I wanted to make a couple of brief announcements. DJ Jedi John Sparrow of Jedi Nation and Minneapolis Sound Radio. I know he and Jellybean and Marty had a great idea for Minneapolis Sound Radio on Live 365. They're playing music nonstop all the time. Minneapolis Sound, of course, they're probably going heavy on the Jellybean music as they should. We're going heavy with our own Musicians Reveal Radio on Live 365, so you can come there anytime. And we'll all keep on supporting this music, man. What else we got to do? We love this music. We got to keep it going.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's what we are, man. And I tell everybody, like Al was saying, it's in Bean's DNA. If you take his DNA strand, that's where it is with him. I think that's why him and I connected so much, because we both are like cut from the same cloth in that way. You know, I didn't learn how to play guitar through going to school or reading music or anything. I was taught by an old blues guy, and then everything else I learned on my own and just figured out how it goes. And for some reason, if I could hear it, I could see it in my mind and how it goes. And I started doing it. And when we got together, it was magic, man. Everybody, whenever they came to the clubs and they seen Jellybean and myself, they said, "Oh man, Jimmy Jellybean here. We're gonna see it now, man. We're gonna see it now." I said, "Yeah, we finna do it, baby, because I got my brother with me. We finna do it." And
I wanted to say
just
something to Andre Holmes. I don't know if you guys saw it.
yeah,
Keyboardist with the Time and Morris Day and the Time, and he plays bass.
yeah.
Probably like most of the guys in the band, they play everybody's instruments. So, you know, sending out love to you, Andre. And I wanted to ask the Electric Man something. David Silva up there. The Musicology tour. You were fortunate enough to see a surprise opener for the Musicology tour. Why don't you talk about that experience?
Yeah, I was at the what they used to call Continental Airlines Arena, the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and I had gone to see the Musicology show 3 nights in a row. So I went to New Jersey with you, Joe, and G Money, right, and Francine, right. We went on Friday night. I went to Hartford because it's only about an hour away here in Connecticut on Saturday night, and I went back to New Jersey on Sunday night. And so when I got there on Sunday night, I had no idea what was going to happen. And I was fortunate enough to be in the front row for that show. And I saw JB, James Bryant, God rest his soul, JB, come out. He was bodyguarding for the security for the time. And I recognized him and I said, "Well, is the Time here?" So of course, me being the silly young man that I thought I was, I walked up to him and I said, "JB, how you doing? We met at BB King's." And he looked at me like, "Really? I'm working. You need to just go away," literally. And I said, "Are the fellas here?" And he said, he kind of just looked at me. He gave a slight nod and he walked away. So I said, "Okay, great." So the lights go down, the clock starts ticking, and Kurt will tell you that's a big deal. That's like a hot thing. The clock starts ticking. The guys come out, they hit the stage, the place explodes, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Yeah. And it was just magical. They ran through the set, and the crowd was pumped. It was great. And as they were all coming off the stage, you know, Tori goes by, Monty goes by, Jellybean stops by. He's walking up the stage. He literally says, "You're in the front row," and he took off. And he just walked away. So we didn't have a chance to catch up there, but it was just
that's great.
That big smile, that flash of humor, and then
I'm telling you,
that was a story,
man.
Hey, I wanted to. I seen Law out there. Law, I sent you the studio link in Facebook Messenger, so you go over there and click it, and we'll bring you in. So go right ahead. Yeah. I got to ask Swang something right now, because Swang was fortunate enough to play with Days of Wild at the Paisley Park Prince's first celebration. And Jellybean had mentioned he's played there many times, and he said he was playing guitar on stage numerous times, and all of a sudden his guitar wasn't coming out of the speakers like what he was playing. Somebody else's guitar was playing, and it was Prince plugging in and playing guitar with, you know, whatever Jellybean was doing, what kind of band. So yeah, that's true. What was it like playing the first celebration? Because you got a great story about that.
Oh God. Yeah, it was I wish I had taken a nap beforehand, because it was 24 hours of 48 hours of insanity. I originally wasn't supposed to be on the gig. There was only enough business-wise. There's a pecking order. You know, Days of Wild is like 40 members plus. So and there were only a certain limited number of people who could go. So I got lucky because the bass player who had gotten the call, his brother was getting married that weekend. So I guess I was next down the list. Guy Oshus called me and said, if you want to go, this is your gig. And I said, okay, I'm in. Flew in, and I had always heard the stories about, it was my first time in Minneapolis. It was 2000. I always heard the stories about how cold it is there. Well, we flew in on the hottest day of the year. It was almost 90 degrees or something like that. And the AC busted at Paisley. So we're supposed to go in and sound check, and it was the perfect storm. So, 90 degrees outside, no AC, and Prince decided, for whatever reason, he's going to give his sound technician the day off. So there was a gentleman named Eric there, and he was, I guess, an assistant to Takumi, who was Prince's guitar technician. There, and Takumi just looked at us at the beginning and said, listen, if no one comes to bail me out over here, I'm just going to have to do the best I can. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. I'm a guitar guy, so we'll do our best. So a 1 hour sound check turns into 2 hours very quickly. And we're sweating like crazy up there, no AC. And eventually Morris Hayes came in, and I guess maybe he helped out a little bit to try to get things wrapped up. We had function work to do, so we had to get out of there. Grabbed a bite to eat, came back later. Takumi's still at the board for the show, so they're doing the best we can. We had no returns on stage. We couldn't hear ourselves, basically.
No.
The house was bumping, but nothing on stage. So we're just guessing as best we can. We got tuners and everything, so we're trying, and we're only supposed to play for maybe like 75 minutes. Maybe a half hour, 40 minutes or so into the show, we start to hear ourselves. And it's immaculate. It's perfect. I mean, if you could do like a dream monitor mix, this was it. Like, you heard everything as though it was almost like you had headphones on.
Wow.
And as it turns out, Takumi's phone rang about 20 minutes into our set, and it was Prince saying, "What's going on?" Takumi said, "Can you come in here and give me a hand?" Because and sure enough, true to form, he came in and made some adjustments at the board. So that's how we ended up hearing ourselves. And so Prince salvaged the gig for us. So thank you for bringing us out, sir, and thank you for making sure we could hear ourselves.
That's great, man.
Yeah, evidently he liked what he heard, because it was supposed to be a relatively short set with a DJ to follow, but he let us keep going. We played for maybe just over 2 hours.
Yeah, I get asked this question. I'm sure you guys get asked this as well. The Time has a full album in the vault that's never been released. I know Ronnie Baker Brooks worked on a track. I think it's Cowboys, Cowgirls,
Cowgirl.
Like that. Cowgirl, yeah. So they recorded it up there. Yeah. So I was disappointed. I think the Electric Man, we were hanging out with the Time, and they were getting ready to fly to LA to film the Trendin' video. And they were pumped about Condensate and everything like that. And then just after a few months, turmoil, stuff like that, which was really disappointing. So let's hope, that music can come out.
There's
you remember that?
Songs on Condensate, loved it. Sick,
I was just going to bring up Sick.
I mean, there's just, it's a shame that album didn't get its due, because it really was top notch.
Right.
I understand Jesse did not like the mix on that at all. Law.
Yeah. There he is. He's loved by many, and he's also the one of the extended members of New Kids on the Block, right? I seen you. You were having fun out in Boston, right?
Man, don't get me started on that. It's just, I'm an all inclusive part. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Yeah.
Just the all inclusive part of just being able to rock with your heroes. I mean, for anybody that's known me long enough, that's what I live for. You know what I mean? You can get, Grammys and platinum plaques and things like that are cool, but for me, and since we're speaking about the man of the hour who's no longer with us, I don't even fathoming that at this point. I've been going through it just like everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just the testament of that. So even with New Edition, New Kids on the Block, or of course my main sensei, George Clinton, thank God we still have him here.
Yes,
And
Lord.
yeah, so it's just, the encompassing part of being able to rock with my heroes. And it's so funny because I had just left Vegas to go back home because of the cancellation of flights and everything that was happening. And I had 2 shows myself. So imagine getting a text from Morris and Bean because they found out that I was landing in Newark. And they was like, yo, you coming to the show? I'm like, well, I was going to surprise y'all guys, but yeah, just for more so the reason of coming. And a part of me wanted to go all the way back to Long Island to change my clothes and stuff. But then I thought about it. I'm like, what sense would it make for me to go all the way back to hell of Long Island just to come to Jersey when I'm landing in Jersey? But you know what? Right. It just goes to show you, now that I'm thinking about it, thank God I always go with my intuition. Everything in my career, even when I first met Bean and met my idols in general, there's a great story behind that. But just even in that factorism, I'm just so glad that I made that conscious decision. I beat them to the venue. I got there before they did. I literally and I called up Jesse Morris's brother, y'all know. I called him up and I was like, how the hell I beat y'all motherfuckers here? So I'm just sitting here like laughing. And I'm thinking they probably there like on the way. I'm like, okay. And then of course, when I told him it was there, he's like, okay, so you know what I said, because they let the people just let me there. He's like, are you with the band? I said, yeah, I guess you could say that. So we there. I get in. And I'm in their dressing room the whole damn time, just chilling, waiting for these motherfuckers to show up. I'm just like, okay. And so, of course, Tori and Freeze and the rest of the, we there. So, of course, as I was saying in the comments earlier, it was business as usual. So, me and Bean talking shit, as you know, we're both Scorpios. So you imagine just the energy between us. These last 30 years, man, it's been, so he's like, yeah, nephew, forgive me, man. You know how you talk. Hey, nephew, forgive me because I want to send the parts. Well, the secret's out now. We were trying to keep it low key, but I produced the iconic Jets new song. This is going to be their first new song in almost 30 something years.
Oh yeah.
And Bean Bean is on it. Bean, this is part of the project that we're working on with Bean. And I was waiting on him. I said, he's like, forgive me, nephew. It took me a minute because I wanted to make sure it was done right. I said, of course it was done right, Uncle. I just was waiting for you to send me the shit. Just send it to me so I could do what I do as a producer. And the thing is, it just, oh man, give me a minute. I'm sorry. Because
I know
that whole night, we just, again, just shooting the breeze, just talking how we normally talk. He's like, he was just watching him, so proud of you. So then they proceed to do the show. Mara shows up. So, we catching up and shit. They kill the show. After the show was over. And then here's the interesting part. So Bean comes off the drums. Got the walk that he always does. I'm like, they say, excellent as always, you good? He said, yeah, nephew, but I'm just tired, man. I'm just tired. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I can see that. I mean, we on the road. I mean, we all get tired. I mean, that's the main thing, even though we run on a lot of fumes of energy and everything. And little did I know that would be the last time I would see him physically, because not to mention on Friday, we spoke briefly in the day. Right. He was just thanking me for the birthday tribute because he knew I said, I'm usually not this late, but I knew I was getting my own stuff together. And I said, hey, uncle, it's up. He said, "Oh, I saw it. Thank you, nephew. I'll speak to you in a minute." I'm like, "Sure." And then just to, go about my day, and then I took one of my naps, and I wake up 3 hours later because my phone was going off. And I'm just like, okay, either a post went crazy or, because that's usually what, if you post went crazy or my daughters are trying to hit me up, something. And it's just the news that I think none of us were expecting or wanting to
not at all
hear,
Not at all. No.
Especially me, because I was just with him. And we just spoke. So it's just, yeah, man.
Yeah, same here. I just talked to him.
See, so you understand, and just
I just talked to him, wished him happy birthday and all that.
Yeah.
I said, I'll see you in Minneapolis.
Exactly. Hey, fellas, can I do it? Can I ask for a favor?
We all that.
I want to tell. I want to quickly tell the story of She Can Get It.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Some people know the story, but I think it's been broken up into so many parts. But I want to give the full direct story. So of course, before we even get into the story, I mean the 30-something years of my friendship with him, Monty, Morris, Jerome, Tori, Freeze, and and the whole thing with that, because everybody knows how we all came when we the opening act. When I say we, I mean Enema Squad. That's part of Prince and Funkadelic. We're the offshoot band with me, myself, Gabe Gonzalez, and some of the other cats that play with P-Funk along with 420 Funk Mob. So of course, the day that I finally got a chance to meet my heroes, because everybody knows if you see me from back then, it wasn't hard to tell who our influences were. And of course, the time being among the many of the guys that we looked up to, me and my brother winning talent shows, you couldn't tell us we wasn't Morris and Jerome. And then once my brothers and my cousins got in on the act, we would just rip town in New York, just doing the shit right. And they always loved us because all the other bands, even the older guys, they wasn't doing the shit right. I said, how the hell are you going to do Jungle Love if you don't do the steps?
Right.
So we thought, me being the maverick, and I was usually the baby in most situations. So the thing is, me being the maverick and having that. So here, 20-something years, I waited for this moment. I'm already part of P-Funk. I'm making my little statements and shit. And we get to open up for my uncles. I said, they weren't my uncles just yet, but just more so you felt like that because and Terry Lewis happened to be there that night too. So that was even more ice on the cake. So, and the interesting part enough is that as we got in, and this was at Trance, by the way. Thank you, Swang. That's what I told. Here's the funny thing about me and Swang, because the thing is that I was there too, but we didn't even know each other. That's how crazy that whole era was. If you was in Trance, me and my DJ, my best friend, we were the youngest guys in there. You know what I'm saying? Here we are, we backstage. And the first person that embraced us, ironically enough, was Jellybean. Everybody else is kind of looking at us like, okay, who these young guys? Who these guys backstage? And then, of course, when we finally met Mars, and Mars was very, Mars was as cool can be. But Bean was the one that's like, hey, y'all guys, y'all play, y'all musicians? I said, yeah, I actually play Palm and Funk. He said, what? You play Palm and Funk? I said, yeah. I said, so the whole, so from that moment on, all the years that we built up, as you've seen some of the stories on my page already to kind of make things a little bit faster, there would be the nights that every time they came to New York, they would come hang out with us after the show. We were just there. I was the one promoting them. So we built a real brotherhood over those last 15, 20 years. And then that one night, when Sinbad had a show, because, Sinbad and my drummer are really great friends. So he was telling Sinbad about this. He's like, well, I played drums behind this cat named blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, well, we're going over there tonight. They're going to have a show. I was like, oh, well, you know what? What is Bean and Tori and them doing? And that's that night that Bean and Tori and Freeze came through, and we played Fishnet. And as y'all know, Bean plays the solo on Fishnet. So having him there at the bitter end that night playing Fishnet, and all my guys were in their glory. They couldn't believe that Bean was there. It's like, what this is crazy. Like, Bean is there. Anyway, so years go by. Everybody keep asking me, like, y'all guys gonna have to do some stuff? I said, of course we are. I said, but we're all working. Everybody's doing their thing. And I'm also a very spiritual person. So alignment is very important to me. And I'm like, listen, when it happens, it's going to happen. I said, I'm not forcing it. I'm not. And that one day, I think it was probably 2019. You know, me and Bean usually talk like every other week. You know, between him and of course, shout out to my boy Jeffrey Luna. He's another one that facilitated it happen because y'all know we were planning on doing those shows and everything. And he said, "Yo, Law, man, I just wanted to tell you something, nephew. I've always loved your production, your writing, and the mind you, I mean, they've always given us the props, as you know. They've always, you know, him and Marsh and everybody else, they've always given us the accolades and the props. But to be asked to come to the studio to produce, he said, well, you know, I want you to, do you have any songs from my record? I'm working on my first solo project. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, I'm trying to be cool. Like, okay, but in my insides, I'm like I'm excited. Because y'all got, I mean, think about it, y'all. Think about it, fellas. This is the man among the other men who me and my group studied as far as production and writing goes. You know, the artistry and the performance is one thing which I'm known for, but you know, to be respected as a writer and a producer and a musician from the very guys who I looked up to. Because Bean could have asked anybody. He could have asked anybody to come in and do that. So the man that produced and wrote Black Cat and Crucial for New Edition, because I know how I feel about those guys, and criticized for Alexander O'Neal is asking me to submit songs for his shit. I must be. What's that song by Michael Jackson? Tell me I'm not dreaming. I'm like, I gotta be fucking dreaming because it's just. I'm like, okay, young, I do. So here's the thing. I got my shit here, just so y'all know. I had this riff that I have been already kind of harping on, you know. I just had something in there. And the thing is that I originally was going to just do it for my album, for my shit. And I was scared to give it to Bean. I'm going to tell you why. Because here's the thing. I already heard some of the stuff that Bean was doing that was along the lines of blues rock, which I do as well, as y'all know. But the thing was just that I figured for his solo project, he wanted to do something away from the Minneapolis funk norm, because you know that's what, if nothing else, that's what we know Bean for. You know, for the drums and the different type of production that he did alongside Jimmy and Terry. And I'm thinking like he's probably not going to do this. I said because he's probably trying to get away from a lot of that for this particular project to show more of what he does on guitar. You know, so I went in to the studio and put everything down. So what you're hearing on there for the original track, that's me playing bass, drums, and guitar and first primary keyboard. So I was basically imitating all of my time heroes. Oh. So the funny thing about that is that when I came up with the groove, I had a little bit of, I just had the chorus. I didn't have the words and shit. I said, well, let me just send it to Bean and just see what he thinks. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong, right? Right. I sent that shit to Bean. He hit me within 2 minutes. Nephew, what the fuck? Yeah, this is what I want. It's the shit I want. I'm like, oh shit, it's on now. Now watch this. I said, okay, Bean, under one condition, Uncle. He said, whatever the fuck you want, nephew. I said, okay. Can we get Uncle Monty on this shit? Because Monty always told me how much he loved me as a songwriter. So to have Uncle Monty and Bean, and then of course, as y'all know, I brought my rhyme idol Tony M out of retirement. When the last time y'all heard a Tony M verse? Because Tony M is one of my favorite MCs as a rapper. So the thing is that Tony M hadn't kicked a rhyme in almost 30 years, man. So I'm saying to myself, this is going to be a mix of Minneapolis funk with Brooklyn funk attitude with some hip hop in between it all. So I knew exactly what I was doing. So once I got the approval, the words wrote itself. If you listen to the first verse, it's basically my love letter. I mean, of course, I'm talking about girls. Y'all know how we do. You know, I'm talking about girls. You know, She Can Get is pretty obvious. But the thing was that the whole embodiment of the song, the texture, the chord progressions, the way that I played the drums, because I was basically imitating Bean's pocket. And the thing is that the fact that Bean wanted that song, it just came so easy. Not to mention, I recorded my vocals because we were dealing with COVID at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't go into the studio because my plan was to go to Minneapolis and then probably go to LA with Jeffrey and want to mix the rest of the record. But the thing is that to have Monty and Tony M join me and Bean, I just knew that we had something special. So without having to drag it out, all I can say is, and I ended up doing Shattered Dreams with the lovely Tamar Davis. That was another thing. I was just good on doing the one song, but Bean said he wanted me to write something for that, and then Jeffrey facilitated, of course, as always. And so to be on that album twice, I just, all I can say is, when it's one thing when your fans love what you do, but when the very fucking men that you look up to, all those years, even my mom and my brothers were, they were all just like, man, that's crazy, Law. All these years we were imitating them and winning talent shows and killing regular shows and shit. And the older guys would get mad at us because, like, who these young motherfuckers coming up in here playing like that and singing like that and actually doing the steps that we ain't even trying to do. And to what Joe has said earlier about us coming to Minneapolis, and shout out to Jeff once again, because I didn't even know that Bean were doing these festivals and stuff, and just a true testament to how many people loved him. All the young musicians, even the older musicians, even the guys around my age. Bean served the community, and that's the main thing people don't get. He could have easily moved to LA or New York and did what. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just being honest. I'm being real.
Right.
The fact that Bean and Monty stayed in Minneapolis and serviced the people, like you said, on any given night, he could be coming from Virginia or New York off of a time gig, and he's at Bunkers. He's at Bunkers. Right. He's at the Minnesota Music Cafe, rocking with all the locals, man. And that's the thing. If anything, he's shown us besides his musicianship is just his humility, because in New York, that's how our scene is. A lot of guys, including myself, a lot of guys who are highly respected, even for all the accolades and things that we've done that's took us all over the world, we still show up to certain places. Because you're right, some days I will be like, I'm like, well, I don't feel like going out tonight because I have a bunch of shit I got to do. But then all of a sudden they'd be like, yo, Lord, they playing over here at so-and-so. I'm like, you know what? Let's roll. Let's go check them out. And then that's just the whole feeling of support, because I feel like that's the jelly bean in all of us.
Law, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're running up on the top of the hour, so but yeah, Kurt.
Sure. No, you did a single with him not long ago, American Racist. Do you mind talking about that session?
Yes. First of all, shout out to Official Biz. Those are my peeps. I love them so much. Yeah. We recorded that song. It's almost going on 2 years. It doesn't feel like 2 years ago, but it was almost 2 years ago. American Racist was definitely, something that I knew I had to be a part of, because, the thing is, again, Official Biz and Bean, because, Bean had a lot of different beliefs and along the same lines as mine for a song like that. So when they hit me up, they was like, hey, Law, man, we got this great idea, but, we love the way you sing, we love the way you play, but we want you to rhyme on this one. We want to get real political. So Jeffrey telling me the idea behind the song, where I take on these different characters that deal with different forms of racism in America. Yeah. And I remember they sent the track. No, actually, no. Let me take that back. They didn't actually send the track. I remember going over Rugged's house. Rugged, who's the leader of Official Biz. I remember going over to the house, and we were recording a whole bunch of stuff. They were going through that. He said, hey, Law, here's a track for American Racist, for the idea. He played it. And mind you, Bean's part wasn't even on there yet, but I already knew. I'm like, he said, well, Bean's part in that. I said, I already know he's going to come with some shit on this.
Yeah, he going to come kill it.
Of course. And it was definitely, it was one of my favorite songs, bar none. And then just the whole attitude behind that. So, of course, when I put the vocals on it, about 2 weeks later, I get the hit from Bean. Damn, nephew, Mike, you know, because you know how much I love your singing and your playing, but you know, it's a whole different breed when you rhyming. And that's just, again, like I was saying earlier, to get that type of respect for your talent and what you do from the very men that helped raise you when y'all weren't even close. And then now to have a 30-year relationship with him, to be able to, you know, yeah, nephew, that's the one. Because when he or any, not even just him, when he or any of the Minneapolis guys co-sign your shit, like you were saying earlier, Joe, that night that we did that show, to have, you know, Levi and Sonny didn't get there yet, but they called me 3 days later. They was like, yo, Lord, what the hell did you do? Like, what you mean, y'all? He's like, man, they've been talking about you all fucking week, man. What did y'all must have really. So to get that from Sonny and Levi, same shit. It's like, you know, again, so
hey, Lord, we running up on top of the hour, so
sure.
I love the stories, but yeah, we got to wrap things up. Unfortunately,
no problem, man. I just thank y'all guys so much.
Popping in and
hey,
you know,
I appreciate you.
Feel your loss, brother, man.
Thank you for having us.
I want to acknowledge, saw in the comments there, Shannon Kerfman, who's a great guitarist and just moved when she was a kid into teenager into Minneapolis. David Anania, her drummer, and Jimmy Anton, her bassist.
Right.
I saw her at South Street Seaport and standing next to Clive Davis and Shannon's mom. We were standing there watching Shannon perform there, and we saw her at Toad's Place in New Haven. So Shannon, thanks to coming here. We love you. Yeah. But I got to thank the Electric Man, J. David Silva, co-host of the Electric Vibe podcast. And right there, Kurt Hoffman, also the co-host of the Electric Vibe podcast. Jellybean Johnson, his first guest, right? On your previous version of it. Yeah.
Yep.
And yes. And Eric Rogers, Paisley 5 and Dime. He's got heavy security at his house because he's got some great collectibles, outstanding collectibles there at the house.
I want that time potion.
As you should.
Yeah, and there's the website. Eric spoke in depth about it, but you know, we all want to see that come to fruition, and people can see the entire Minneapolis music scene. I mean, Gary Hines, Spike Moss, Andre Simone, and this is crucial to happen. And I know Jellybean it's going to be looking down on you and saying right on. So thank you, Eric, and Swang, Stewart. Yeah, come on and bring us updates on all that. And Swang, Stewart, of course, Days of Wild, and now the for quite a while the lead singer with the Family Stone. Yes. And unfortunately, will not be performing out in Atlantic City with Jellybean and Monty. Monty's not there, but Morris Day in the time. But where are you performing? Which casino?
It's at the Hard Rock.
The
Hard Rock in Atlantic City. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the lineup. But again, we're going to definitely acknowledge Jellybean and send love to his family and his fans and his friends all over the world. And we're going to play the show in dedication to him. So.
Yeah, definitely deserves that. And Jimmy Primetime Smith, sorry for your loss of your dear friend, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's needed, man.
I am, man. Yeah. Me and Jelly, man. That's my boy. Me and my guy, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do now, man. Every time I come to Minneapolis, I'm looking for him. You know, I was born and raised in Chicago, but I lived in Minneapolis for 37 years, and that's when I first met Jellybean.
Sounds like a Jellybean story, right?
30 some years, man.
Wow.
Man.
I got to thank all the viewers, listeners. I mean, we try to get people's comments up there, and a lot of people, you know, this is kind of our grieving moment and sharing all the pain and joy we got from Jellybean Johnson and, you know, Marty Bragg, Jellybean's kids, grandkids, man.
Yes.
We're there for you. And just a horrendous person to see out of our lives physically, but we've got all memories and love for Jellybean Johnson.
Well, I know Bean might be looking down right now going, and his exact words will be, "There's some bad men."
Yeah. Yeah,
we simply got work to do. You know, you already know, Swang. We already spoke, and same thing with Jay. We got work to do. That's just pretty much what it is. We have work to do.
Yeah, perfectly said, guys. I appreciate you spending time, and I hope you guys feel a little better, everybody out there. Much love to everybody. And Jellybean, we love you.
Love you, Jeff.
Love you.
Bean.
And you're watching Musicians Reveal with Joe Kelley. What time is it?